Hello everyone, you're watching your favorite series, Crypto Masters. I'm Vinita Chatterjee, leading you into the world of digital currency. As you know, Crypto Masters is a show whereby our masters give us a guided tour of the entire crypto ecosystem. And today we are extremely happy to have an amazing guest joining us. Please put your hands together to welcome none other than Mr. Prasanna Lohar, the Chief Innovation Officer of DCP Bank and also the founding member of India Blockchain Forum. Welcome, Prasanna.
Thank you, Vinny. Great to be here, part of this Crypto Masters series. Looking forward to talk around digital currencies, blockchains, and various concepts. So thank you so much for welcoming here.
We are indeed very, very happy to have you back with us because you always fill us with very, very energetic sessions. Yeah. And today we will be discussing about blockchain in depth and how blockchain has completely changed the way a common man's life is functioning. Yeah. Especially in today's world where blockchain has become the building block of our lives. In all walks of our lives, blockchain has taken a very, very important part. So what do you think is the future of blockchain technology?
I think it's a great question, and for viewers, listeners, they should understand why blockchain is going to be a radical change technology, just like internet came in our life in 1995, at least in India. And today, if you talk about WhatsApp or PhonePe, Google Pay, and many more those websites can't live without internet, right?
Absolutely.
And if you see overall industry revolution, right? Industry 1.0, 2.0, every industry revolution has come up to some kind of a benefit to the humankind.
Absolutely.
Today, we are living in industry 4.0, where we are creating a lot of business models on internet and mobility. But if you look at the overall business models, it requires a lot of trust, that kind of a challenge, right?
Indeed.
And blockchain is a foundation technology, just like internet is a foundation technology. Today, if you see a lot of use cases, right? Websites, e-commerce sites, you do payments, and almost every business model has come on the internet. But today, internet has not solved the challenge or a problem of creating trust between two entities or ecosystem. So blockchain comes and says, hey guys, I'm one of those technology which is a foundation technology, and slowly I will integrate into all of your business model, your websites, your databases, and create a smarter life for human beings. That is why it's very, very important for viewers, listeners, educational ecosystem, governments to understand this technology better, so that our future tomorrow or businesses tomorrow will have a more smarter ways to do.
But as you just mentioned, blockchain technology has already solved a lot of our daily lives problems. But what do you think is the reason that currently CBDC is planning to incorporate blockchain into its ecosystem?
Yeah, I think CBDC is one of the use case. Like we have a different use cases like cryptocurrency or enhancing the banking ecosystem, healthcare. So blockchain will be integral part of various ecosystems.
Okay.
Now, if you talk about CBDC, it's called as a central bank digital currency.
All right.
So it will be just like an alternate for your paper or a cash-based currency, right? And wherein what happens typically in current financial ecosystem. Say example, Vinny is a customer and she is doing transaction on e-commerce site or in shopping mall. Primarily, the transaction happens between two banks and with a trusted agency, so-called associations like MasterCard, Visa, NPCIs, and so on. In this whole process, a transaction for a customer is immediate, but the payment to that merchant where she is doing transaction happens next day. Why? Because these are all operational models, right? So these are manual processes where it requires a lot of cost, a lot of manual efforts, and it will incur. Now just imagine our banking ecosystem is riding on these kind of business model operations in so many years.
Right.
With digital currency coming into picture based upon blockchain, we will not have those challenges around operations. Right? We'll not have that much, we don't have to incur so much of cost, right? Apart from that, there are a lot of incentives and benefits of a central bank digital currency. That is why it is very, very important for government, central banks like RBI to get into that, practice it out, doing some POCs, pilots, and make it happen for Indian ecosystems or Indian customers. Yeah.
Well, that was an excellent thought. But when it comes to CBDC, the first question that comes to anyone's mind is, what is this CBDC or central bank digital currency?
Yeah, so very good question. And CBDC, central bank digital currency, is a legal tender.
Okay.
What does it mean? It's a government's ecosystem alternate to the cash. Right?
Okay.
Today we have a paper currency. Tomorrow it will be in digital format, which will be invisible format, riding into, and it will be integral part of a balance sheet of a central bank or RBI.
Okay.
So once again, CBDC is another form of your currency, and
but in a digital format.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. What is the requirement, the sudden requirement for CBDC to happen in today's time?
So it's not a sudden requirement. So there are various influencing factors around why we need a CBDC or central bank digital currency. If you have seen the rise of cryptocurrencies, right, since 2008, when Satoshi Nakamoto, which is anonymous personality, has written a paper on Bitcoin.
Right.
Primary agenda of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies was to bring a financial equilibrium in the world.
Right.
World has went ahead with a very financial crisis in 2008.
True, true, true.
But
the Great Recession.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you look at the whole agenda, and today if you see whether that agenda being solved, answer is no.
Okay.
Say example, India like a country where there are 1.2 billion phones or smartphones, but how many financial or how many accounts being opened? Around 585 millions. So there is a huge gap. And if you look at the overall world, right, so around 2 billion people don't have bank accounts. Either they earn $1 or $2 a day, but they have no tendency or kind of a financial literacy where they can do some kind of a savings.
Such a huge number.
Absolutely. So world is sitting on these kind of a challenges, and in paper-based currency, lot of fraud does happens, right? There is no traceability of your paper currency. There are issues in management of paper currency. It takes a lot of cost to create paper currency and operations around that. And looking at this whole angle, right? So it requires some kind of a transparent ecosystem, which blockchain can bring in with the CBDC kind of ecosystem. That is why it's very, very important in that to be in that journey. Yeah.
So you mean to say that a blockchain-driven CBDC can actually simplify our currency model the way it is functioning in today's time?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the examples, like suppose retail CBDC, wherein retail CBDC peer-to-peer payments, or there is another type which is a wholesale CBDC, which is a transaction between banks to banks, or a cross-border payment. Somebody wants to send money from one country to another country. Today, there are a lot of overheads, lot of operations. It is a cost-consuming. At times, suppose you are sending money through current SWIFT ecosystem, it takes 3 to 7 days, right? And more of a operational cost is there.
Right.
Tomorrow, with CBDC, it will be just like a swifter payment, the way we have UPI, right? Unified Payment Interface in Indian kind of ecosystem. Tomorrow, cross-border payment, and there are many more other use cases around CBDC where retail customers, banks, corporate governments will be benefited out of it. Yeah.
So do you think the common man will be really benefited if CBDC comes into place?
Absolutely. So that's the agenda which I am talking about. What is there for a common man today? Paper-based currency, right? There are a lot of corruption that has happened.
Yes.
Management is a very
lot of hoarding that happens.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So common man. Say example, millennial customers, right, which are upcoming generation.
Yes, the youth.
If you look at today, there are 5 to 6 different generations, and every generation has its own need. So today we are in a collaboration kind of era, wherein we operate on mobile phones or websites and so on. While we move further on after 2021, our era will be autonomous. Right, so that's a sense of urgency. Today, span of attention on mobile phones or looking at any news has really decreased. What does it mean? The human augmentation is happening with the new technologies are coming in.
Exactly.
When we land up in 5G, wearables and quantum computing, so everybody would like to do financial transaction immediately. There will be era of micropayments and so on. Your cars, your home will do the transactions on behalf of you.
Wow.
When we land up in that era, so common man needs some kind of a trusted financial ecosystem.
Yes.
So central bank digital currency, which will give you digital currency rights, so that will get amalgam with a digital ecosystem. So that is the benefit for today's and tomorrow's common man. Yeah.
So my next question to you is, why do you think so many countries are super excited to jump into the bandwagon of CBDC right now?
Yeah, I think very, very apt question, Vinny. Many countries are doing POCs, pilots for a central bank digital currency so that they can implement a successful CBDC for their country. talk about organization, right? Banking for international settlement.
Okay.
These are financial institutes work closely with all the central banks in the world.
Right.
For what agenda? The agenda is that how do we modernize this financial ecosystem? How do you create a better financial inclusion for every citizen in this world?
Right.
And more importantly, if you take example of Libra, right, which has come from a big tech Facebook, how do we really compete, or how do we really remove this existence, or rather various payment ecosystem by these big tech? So considering this whole, to bring a financial equilibrium, banking for international settlement is working closely with all those central banks. Say example, RBI is one of the central bank and operates in India.
Right.
And why these countries are doing it?
Yes.
Primarily three main reasons. Cryptocurrency. You have seen how the cryptocurrency market is booming up, right? 3 trillion, right? Which is recent news. So it's a threat for a current financial ecosystem. Secondly, there are a lot of stable coins. Example, Libra I was talking about, and there are many more which are coming and creating a parallel ecosystem, right, against this our current regulated financial ecosystem.
Right, right.
So how do we remove or mitigate that, or a DeFi kind of ecosystem which are not regulated?
Right.
And finally, which is political angle. Say example, China is doing central bank digital currency experiments, POCs, pilots.
Right.
So why US will be left out? So they are also doing it on US
They're
dollar.
sort of competing with each other to get into the
European Union. You talk about small countries like Ecuador, Finland,
Switzerland.
or Switzerland, Sweden, Singapore. If I say, I think history of CBDC, one of the first implementation happened in Finland.
Yes.
And in Ecuador in 2014.
Right.
So this is very, very important for every country to be in competition. But ultimately, when you do this cross-border payments, country-to-country payments, or bank-to-bank payments, it's very important for to create a better financial equilibrium. With a paper-based currency, there are disadvantages. There are a lot of issues for managing paper currencies. If you really have to bring better lifestyle, we have to collaborate, right?
Right.
Now, imagine, right? Some countries on a CBDC, some of them are not there.
Yes.
So it's very important for those countries who are not on CBDC to be on a better ecosystem. That is why it's very, very important for many countries, right? So today, as per BIS report, 60% central banks has already started some kind of a POC research work, including India.
Wow.
And 14% central banks has already done some kind of a pilot. Like in between Canada and Singapore, which is a wholesale, right? Or Cambodia has created their own retail. Or small countries like Bahamas, they have implemented recently. I think it's very, very important for every country. Say example, they want to really have a better economy, better GDP growth.
Yes.
CBDC is one of the answer for that.
Wow. So what do you think the future of our country, India, looks like with the help of CBDC?
I think it's very, very bright. CBDC future has to be bright in India. There are many factors to that. My recent conversation with all of the bankers in last year end. After that, RBI has incorporated CBDC into their February bulletin, their agenda. They are going to work on some of the POCs pilots. Certainly, we will have a better CBDC implementation for India. Why? Because India is riding on a lot of railroads, which are already there. Okay. So to implement a better CBDC, we require some of the aspects. Like we should have a better central bank, which we have, right? RBI is one of those best. Later on, we require a digital infrastructure, wherein we have ecosystems like digital identity, Aadhaar, or you have a UPI, Unified Payment Ecosystem.
True.
Right? Then we have a DigiLocker or a account aggregator. So we are sitting on a very good digital infrastructure. Better monetary policies are required, which we have, and we have so many experts in India who can really draft better monetary policies. Coming back, whenever we do any implementation of CBDC, importantly, we should know some of the 4 or 5 aspects, right? One of the important aspect is that for whom? Is it for retail customer or wholesale customer? So we are pretty sure how we're going to implement in India. Second aspect, whether it will be with a blockchain or without blockchain. So certainly it will be on a blockchain based CBDC. Third thing is like whether it is account based or a token based, right? So primarily depends upon our agenda. We will really draft the CBDC designs, and more importantly, how it will be operated, whether it will be cross country, within our country, and so on. So those, once we study all these aspects, so certainly India will have one of those base CBDCs. So coming back India's CBDC will be one of those best implementation where world will look at, right, how it is being really implemented, because we already have those railroads where world is watching, right? Unified payment interface, Aadhaar, right?
We have already
Biggest
created
digital
history.
identity
Yes,
ecosystems.
yes.
So all these things will make India's digital ecosystem very good. But RBI need to be very cautious in the whole implementation, right? It shouldn't be like, let's start and get into the way other countries have done it.
Very systematically and structurally organizing it together. We should
learn from other countries, how they have done it, what are those learnings or setbacks, like Bahamas had something like they couldn't put interest rate on the deposit, right? Now they have to set some limit. Similarly, studying better monetary policies, because India is sitting on number of banks, right?
Yes.
PSU banks, private sector bank, cooperative banks, right? So every bank, how they can get into the CBDC kind of a ecosystem. Maybe tomorrow India will collaborate with other countries for a wholesale kind of a CBDC. So it's a good journey. It will take its own time, but for sure it will benefit all those billions of citizens in India. And we will see, like the way we have seen demonetization kind of ecosystem or data adoption, which we have seen after Geo movement. So certainly next 2 to 3 years, when we land up or when we'll implement India's CBDC, it will be one of those best, and other countries will follow that specification and those things. So I think that's a beautiful journey we'll see. Best part, government understands CBDC is important. RBI understands. Work has already started. Blockchain technology is there. It is came in our life on a right time. Lot of research is happening, and let's see how it can be really helpful for a human transformation. We always talk about, right? So blockchain helps for a better life for all the generations coming in the future.
Wow. So that was a great thought, as you said, that India could be leading in this fourth industrial revolution, where we can take the notch up to become a world superpower with the help of blockchain technology by incorporating concepts like CBDC.
Yeah, last thought which I was talking about, like pandemic has given a lot of learnings to us, right?
Yes.
COVID came in and people started collaborating. Countries started collaborating on a health aspect, right? We have seen how World Health Organization help everybody. So that has given some kind of a collaboration kind of a ecosystem among all the countries.
Right.
When you talk about CBDC and something like a super currency, it requires a lot of collaboration, right? So governments have learned, all those central banks will learn and will come together.
So are we discussing about a super currency as in the one world order currency?
Yeah, so that is what is necessary. If you look at 17 sustainable goals, which is given by UN some few years back in 2015. And one of the goal is a better financial inclusion. When you look at that, World Economic Forum says that blockchain is a technology or AI is a technology which mitigate and will help us to have a better financial ecosystems or to meet these all 17 sustainable goals by 2030.
Wow.
So that is what, having a super currency at a global world level, it will ease out a lot of challenges we have, right? It will bring a lot of peaceful way of financial equilibrium. So that is why, in my view, having CBDC at India or at every country level is very, very important, and it has to be implemented ASAP so that we meet those timelines of 17 sustainable goals, which will help for human being, right? So today we are in collaboration, I say, tomorrow we'll land up in autonomous era. While we move further more and more, your today's industry 4.0 will become society 5.0.
Exactly.
Where we are
upgrading every
a lot
time.
of peace, and for all of these things is very, very important to have a better financial ecosystem. CBDC says, implement me, adopt blockchain, and move ahead for this future.
The new era.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So that was quite an enlightening thought from our crypto master, Mr. Prasanna Lohar, and we are extremely enriched with that knowledge. For all these knowledge-driven sessions, keep watching your favorite series, Crypto Masters, and stay tuned to Crypto TV. I'm Vinita Chatterjee, signing off.